Hey everyone, Dr. Barrett here with Hearing and Balance Doctors. Today I'm doing my first reaction video, and this will be an educational video from TED Talks, and it'll be talking about the auditory system, and I'm excited to see about this, and I'm excited to make some comments. Here we go.
Arriving home after a long day, you settle in for a quiet evening alone. But instead of the sound of silence, you hear a constant ringing, even though there's nothing making any noise. What you're experiencing is called tinnitus.
This is going to be a good one. Tinnitus. This is a buzz term. Some people call it tinnitus, but they're about to describe what it is. I won't say too much right now, but I'm excited about this video already.
Of a noise like ringing, buzzing, hissing, or clicking that occurs without any external source of sound. Tinnitus has been bothering humanity since ancient Babylon, plaguing everyone from Leonardo da Vinci to Charles Darwin. Today, roughly 1 in 7 people worldwide experiences this auditory sensation. So,
1 in 7 actually sounds a little bit low to me. I experience tinnitus quite frequently, mainly when it's quiet. Those are the situations where you start to notice your tinnitus a little bit more frequently. When there's no external sounds in the environment, what are you left to? You're left to your internal sounds, and that tinnitus can ramp up a little bit.
Where does this persistent sound come from? When you normally hear something, sound waves hit various areas of your ear, creating vibrations that displace fluid inside the cochlea. If the vibrations are large enough, they elicit a chemical response that transforms them into bioelectrical signals. These nerve impulses are then relayed through the hearing pathway to the brain, where they...
So already you should be getting the sense that we don't hear with our ears, we actually hear with our brains. Our auditory cortex processes neural impulses, which we interpret as sound. So this is pretty cool. We're getting into the brain.
Result in the sounds we perceive. However, in the vast majority of tinnitus cases, the nerve signals that produce these mysterious sounds don't travel through your ear at all. Instead, they're generated internally by your own central nervous system. Under usual circumstances, these self-produced signals are an essential part of hearing. All mammals demonstrate ongoing neural activity throughout their hearing pathways. When there are no sounds present, this activity is at a baseline that establishes your neural code for silence. When a sound does appear, this activity changes, allowing the brain to distinguish between silence and sound. But the auditory system's health can affect this background signal. Loud noises, diseases, toxins, and even natural aging can damage your cochlear cells.
Loud noises. We see a lot of firearms and concerts causing some evidence of noise damage to the hearing system in our patients. There are over 200 medications, both prescription and ototoxic, both prescription and over-the-counter, that are ototoxic. So yes, medications that actually can cause some damage to your auditory system, and that can ramp up your tinnitus. So these are really good points he's making. Genetics too, age-related genetics, and just, you know, familial factors can cause hearing issues and subsequently tinnitus.
Some of these may heal in a matter of hours. However, if enough cells die, either over time or all at once, the auditory system becomes less sensitive. With fewer cochlear cells relaying information, incoming sounds generate weaker nerve signals, and many environmental sounds can be lost completely. To compensate, your brain devotes more energy to monitoring the hearing pathway. Just like you might adjust the knobs of a radio, the brain modifies neural activity while also tweaking the tuning knob to get a clearer signal.
This is describing it so well. Tinnitus is often an overcompensation effect, where if your auditory system isn't transducing sound as well as it should be, your brain is not being stimulated as well as it wants to be, so it starts to overcompensate and create its own noise. That's the tinnitus. That's the phantom sound. It's not coming from the environment. It's coming from inside.
Increasing this background neural activity is intended to help you process weak auditory inputs. But it can also modify your baseline for silence, such that a lack of sound no longer sounds silent at all. This is called subjective tinnitus, and it accounts for the vast majority of tinnitus cases. Subjective tinnitus is a symptom associated with practically every known ear disorder, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing. While its appearance can be surprising, subjective tinnitus has no inherently negative consequences. But for some, tinnitus episodes can trigger traumatic memories or otherwise distressing feelings.
This is key right here. Tinnitus can be mild and non-bothersome to some people, but for other people, tinnitus can be very bothersome, and it can evoke an emotional reaction, tapping into the limbic system, and that can exacerbate things dramatically. So it's really interesting how tinnitus can have a varied effect on whoever it's affecting, depending on the emotional state.
Increase the sound's intrusiveness. This psychological loop often leads to what's known as bothersome tinnitus, a condition that can exacerbate the symptoms of PTSD, insomnia, anxiety, and depression. There's no known cure for subjective tinnitus, so the most important thing doctors can do is help people understand this auditory event and develop neutral associations with these often distressing sounds.
So one common type of therapy for this is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and you're trying to just retrain your brain, or you're trying to retrain your own thoughts about your tinnitus and reframing it in a more neutral or even positive light. Once you're able to reframe your tinnitus in that manner, it actually can resolve some of the negative symptoms there.
For example, sound therapy uses noises like rain, birdsong, or music to mask tinnitus and reduce stress. One form, called informational masking, uses soothing, complex auditory signals that distract the brain from the tinnitus sound. Another, called energetic masking, uses sounds with the same frequency as the patient's tinnitus to occupy the neurons that would otherwise deliver the tinnitus signal. Practiced alongside counseling, these interventions allow people to reevaluate their relationship with tinnitus. Losing the sound of silence can be troubling, to say the least.
So I just want to touch on the informational and energetic masking techniques that are used to manage the tinnitus. Those are sound therapy techniques. It's interesting that in the energetic masking, this video didn't mention correcting a hearing issue. So we know that if you do have a hearing deficit, your brain may be overcompensating to help you hear better, but what unfortunately generates tinnitus. Yes, you can play sounds in your ears to manage that, but another way to manage that would be to correct your hearing sensitivity, and prescription hearing aids could do that for you if indeed you have a hearing deficit. So it's almost like if you have I use this analogy a lot with vision. If you're not seeing clearly, if you wear prescription glasses, you can see more clearly, and then you're taking care of an issue. A lot of times when you don't hear clearly, you don't realize how clearly you could hear, and that's why it's important just to get your hearing tested to see what the issue is. if you do need help, you should get help.
Tinnitus reveals that your brain is constantly analyzing the world around you, even as it fails to filter its own internal noise. In a sense, experiencing tinnitus is like eavesdropping on your brain talking to itself, though it may not be a conversation you want to hear. As mentioned in this video, tinnitus can be particularly difficult for those struggling with PTSD. But what exactly is this disorder, and what steps can be taken to help those suffering from it? Learn more with this video, or check out this video for advice on coping with insomnia.
That was a great video. I can see where if they're talking about the PTSD stuff, they might talk more a little bit about the cognitive behavioral therapy techniques to help manage the tinnitus there. Insomnia is a huge issue with tinnitus. I mean, and that's because when we perceive our tinnitus, it's in a quiet environment. It's usually pretty quiet when we're trying to sleep. So again, those sound therapy techniques can be really helpful for sleep. Playing white noise, the sound of rain, turning a fan on. I use brown noise. It's just frequency shaped noise. It's got a low pass filter on it, so it's a little bit lower frequency. I think of the brown noise as if you're on an airplane and you have some earmuffs on, and then you can hear that low frequency rumble of the airplane engine. That's kind of like the brown noise that I use at night, and it helps me. So yeah, this is a great video, good animations. It was nice and short, and hope you enjoyed the comments.